Every time you unlock your phone, accept a cookie banner, or scan your passport at a European airport, a decision has already been made about your data, not by an app, but by law. Most people never see this system, yet it quietly determines what you can click, refuse, share, or store. Europe has spent decades building the world's most regulated digital society. This is the story of how it happened and why it matters now. Unlike Silicon Valley's code-first culture or China's surveillance-first model, Europe chose law as its primary digital technology. Rights came before products, procedures before platforms. Digital spaces were treated as extensions of civic life, not experimental markets. Regulation wasn't an afterthought, it was the foundation. That choice embedded legal friction into everyday digital tools, slowing innovation, but strengthening oversight. Central to this perspective is a fundamentally European belief. Power should always be restrained, regardless of whether it is exercised by governments, businesses, or algorithms. Unrestrained authority inevitably works to the detriment of individuals. When data emerged as the most valuable resource globally, Europe approached it in the same way it would oil or financial systems, too perilous to remain unregulated and too impactful to be relied upon without oversight. For the majority of people, this legal framework remains unnoticed until the usual order is disrupted. A consent banner obstructs access to content. A data inquiry prompts official correspondence. A border crossing takes more time than anticipated. In these instances, the system becomes visible, a vast legal and technical network perpetually managing identity, authorization, and oversight in the background. This documentary traces how that structure emerged from paper archives to AI laws and digital identity wallets. Its roots lie not in technology, but in fear, memory, and political compromise. To understand Europe's digital present, we have to start with its past, when information first proved it could be used as a weapon. Europe's deep distrust of data did not come from theory, it came from experience. Long before smartphones and servers, personal information determined who could work, travel, or survive. That history still informs how Europeans view databases today, not as neutral tools, but as sources of power that demand limits. Lists once decided lives. Names, addresses, affiliations, recorded and reused by regimes that valued efficiency over humanity. Europe learned at enormous cost that information doesn't just describe society, it can reorganize it. That experience forged the most robust privacy culture in the world and led Europe down a unique digital trajectory. To understand how those insights were solidified into legislation, we must look back to the 20th century. Throughout the 20th century, European regimes weaponized records. Nazi registries, fascist population files, and communist secret police archives turned paperwork into engines of repression. Information didn't just identify people, it categorized them, tracked them, and made persecution scalable. Following the Second World War, the restoration of democracy necessitated restrictions on how information was gathered and utilized. Privacy emerged as a defense against the very nature of power. Managing data circulation was no longer a matter of efficiency. It was about ensuring that history did not repeat itself. Germany led the shift. In the 1970s, it passed the world's first data protection laws, tying information control directly to constitutional rights. The idea was radical. Individuals, not institutions, should decide how their personal data is used. This idea gained traction throughout Europe. Judges and legislators concurred that personal information was more than mere administrative content. It was a reflection of the individual. Managing it required political regulation rather than solely technical management. In 1995, the EU formalized this thinking with the Data Protection Directive. It aligned national laws and declared data protection a shared European value. Simultaneously, unrestricted movement required fresh coordination. Physical border inspections disappeared. Databases took the place of barriers. Europe eliminated borders, but maintained records. This balance, independence intertwined with oversight, became crucial. Each step forward in mobility required another level of information exchange to support it. So when the internet arrived, Europe didn't ask whether it should be governed. It asked how, and by whom. In 2018, GDPR came into force. It redefined personal data as a fundamental right. Consent had to be explicit. Silence was no longer permission. Europe imposed a single legal logic on digital life. What made GDPR revolutionary wasn't just its rules, but its reach. Any company handling EU data, anywhere on Earth, fell under its authority. Geography stopped protecting platforms. The enforcement provided real power to those regulations. Penalties could amount to 4% of worldwide earnings. All at once, disregarding Brussels was no longer a matter of principle. It became costly. Supporters celebrated empowerment. Critics warned of bureaucracy. Both were right. GDPR protected users but favored firms large enough to afford compliance. For users, the law appeared as pop-ups and dashboards. Regulation became a daily experience, one checkbox at a time. For regulators, GDPR proved something crucial. Europe could shape global technology without building platforms of its own. That success shifted thinking in Brussels. If law could constrain data markets, what else could it redesign? Behind public debate, another system was expanding quietly. The Schengen Information System lets police share alerts instantly. Most Europeans never see it, but free movement depends on it. Eurodac retains the fingerprints of people applying for asylum, whereas Prüm connects DNA information and vehicle records. Both systems pledge to boost efficiency while strengthening centralized oversight. Managing these systems required new institutions. Agencies like ULISA turned bureaucracy into infrastructure. Simultaneously, identity shifted into the digital space. The EIDAS regulation allowed National Digital Identification System to operate beyond international boundaries. In 2024, the Digital Identity Wallet was established as law. Passports, licenses, and certificates were combined into state-authorized applications. Supporters saw convenience. Critics warned of function creep when access slowly turns into monetary. As borders digitized, attention returned to platforms. They were no longer just apps. They were infrastructure. The Digital Services Act and Digital Markets Act targeted platform power directly. Transparency and competition became legal obligations. Designated gatekeepers were forced to open ecosystems. Law replaced dominance. Then came AI. Europe treated it not as magic, but as risk. The AI Act assessed systems by their risk level, implementing tight restrictions on high-risk scenarios. It became the world's first comprehensive AI law. Together, these laws formed a digital constitution. Globally, Europe became the reference point. Doubts intensified back home. Today, Europeans live inside this system. Data rights feel normal. Regulation defines possibility. Influence today originates from standards and databases, not from force. This model is neither utopia nor dystopia. It is governance by design. And it's spreading. Its impact on freedom, whether it grows or diminishes, hinges on what follows. The next phase won't be about writing rules, but enforcing them. The next conflict won't be technical. It will be political. Europe has proven that digital life is not just governed by code, but by collective values. That sets the stage for the next global struggle, over enforcement, resistance, and control. The coming battle will center on who shapes the rules that shape us. If you want to follow how this system spreads, fractures, and evolves, subscribe and stay with us.